Can you walk us through your typical workflow when mixing or recording a track from start to finish?
Okay. So if I'll just do the recording first.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm recording, so I'll just record. We basically record the vocals.
Yes.
Most of the time, I got to the point where I could record the vocals, and when the artist is done,
Mm.
most of the time I'm like 5 minutes from being done.
Okay.
So I'm already taking different parts because I used to watch JP do that. JP's goated, like him and Baines, they're crazy. So I remember I used to think I was like, damn, I'm getting pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And I watched JP, going crazy, recording. He's doing like crazy things. I'm like, I gotta do that too. Damn.
Yeah.
So I started learning to do like different effects while
Mhm.
they're recording.
Okay.
And like kind of building, and it also inspires them. So as they're recording, I might throw like a cool reverb effect,
Okay.
and they'd be like, I like that, that's dope.
Yeah,
Or they might
yeah,
get
yeah.
excited. You know what I mean? So after I'm done recording the vocals, I got the effects, everything, balanced in the right place. I'll go through and do all my cuts
Mhm.
and my fades.
Yep.
I'll try to make sure I get every fade as I'm recording, so when it's done,
Yeah,
you don't have any weird pops and clicks and breaths and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll try to get the volumes right as fast as I can. Usually when I'm going, you usually got about 1 or 2 more times. If it's like a rapper, they usually go a little faster. You got about 1 or 2 times to play the song.
Mm.
Put your limiter on, get your levels right, and then you're pretty much it's pretty much it for that.
Yeah.
And then as far as mixing goes, a big tip for me, which I don't do enough. Most people know like mixing. You throw your vocals in and you kind of build it. I usually throw mine in a template.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll just start from scratch, depending on if I want to just like maybe do something different here.
Okay.
But one thing I've been getting better with is when I start mixing, I'll put all the tracks in there. I'll go through. I'll mute the instrumental, go through the vocals, take all the breaths out first, do all the fades with no music.
Just
hear it, just hear all because you're gonna hear things you wouldn't normally hear.
Maybe like
sometimes you want to get right to it and vibe,
yeah,
and get the levels right. But nah, I watch Baines how he does it, and I kind of just go with he's very successful at it.
Yeah,
kind of go what he does, get all the breaths and all the levels right, all the vocal automation. You might turn things up, clip gain, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If I have stems, once I get the stems going and all that stuff, I don't really speak on stems too much because a lot of times, I hate to say this, but a lot of times I'll mix with the 2-track.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of times because I feel like with me personally, like because I record so much with the 2-track, I just kind of got good at doing that. But if you have a really bad 2-track, you're gonna need stems. There's just no way around it, and you're always gonna. Well, I'm not saying always, but more than likely you're gonna get a better mix with the stems on it.
For sure.
The tip for me when you're mixing would be make sure you take breaks.
Yeah.
Because I'll try to push myself. I'll get frustrated. I'm almost there.
Right.
I just have a little tweak, and I don't take enough breaks. Yeah. And I start going backwards.
You'll get used to it. Next thing you know, just get used to it. You miss things because you. Yeah. That's actually something that Nico said on the last pod that we just dropped from the Nam episode. That's actually a clip I'm gonna get out soon, but he talks about taking breaks. If it's like a 4-hour mix, he'll do like 30-minute in between the 4 hours, like 30-minute smoke break or something. Just go outside, catch some vibes, whatever. Come back, not even touch nothing, and just like listen. You know what I mean? And then from there, like, okay, we're getting back into it, and then you start to hear those little things that like, oh yeah, let me write this down. I'm gonna
fresh ears
for sure.
Plus, you're not so dialed in on one thing either.
Yes,
you take a step back.
Yes,
then your brain hears things like your ears hear things like from a different, point. Yeah, definitely take breaks. That's the biggest thing. Because one time I did a mix and I'm like, I put a timer down. I'm like, every 30 minutes I will take a break. And I was super disciplined with that. I learned that mixing is discipline.
Yeah,
it really is. As far as like your level, I used to mix so loud. I used to mix loud. I just wanted to feel it. I go by feeling more than anything.
Yeah.
But that gets you in trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
And you end up working twice as hard.
Yeah.
Especially when these guys, they can do mixes in, I'm talking like the highest level mix. They can do that in like 4-5 hours, maybe sometimes less. Maybe sometimes more because you might have different you might have different notes and different revisions or whatever. But that, I'm trying to think what else. That's pretty much my process for the most part. I don't really
just keep it basically in that area. Like that's what you focus on. That's what you make sure.
A-Bing. I do a lot of
A-B.
A-Bing. I use
Okay.
the A/B metric. I'm gonna mess that up, but the A/B metric plugin. It's
Yeah.
like it's a plugin where you could basically drop the wave file of the reference track,
Mm-hmm.
because you should always have a reference when you mix. It's like
Nice.
it's very, very important. Because
Yes.
how are you supposed to know if your mix is better than the rough if you don't have anything to
Right.
compare it with? You can't just go in there and just freestyle it.
No.
I probably do that way too much,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's why I have that plugin. I drop
Right.
the wave and I just constantly A/B, maybe even every
Yes.
10 minutes. It's that serious.
Wow.
It's that serious because you might be vibing to something, then you're like, oh wait,
It's a
the
little.
808's hitting way harder on this
Mm,
than the rough, or or
mm,
maybe the vocal was a little bit louder, maybe it's too thin now. You could definitely hear
yeah.
the difference when you A/B 'em.
For sure. For sure.
Obviously, you got to A/B at the right level. You can't have
Right.
one louder than the other.
The thing in all, it's just like, stay on top of your game. You know what I mean? Get in the gym, practice. Like, these, again, what you're doing to prepare, what you're doing to complete things, the breaks, all that goes into like just a daily routine of like, this is what's going down today. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We all have to, cover all the bases on that. So